Hello and welcome to Sales Genius Network. Ask Me Anything. My name is Doug Davidoff. So, a couple days ago on LinkedIn, my friend and the partner sales enablement head, or David, I actually don't know what your title is, but my friend David Winehouse from HubSpot shared a piece of advice that I've talked about certainly before. Where what he said, to sum it up quickly, I frequently speak with professional service providers who want higher fees. However, they often sell in a way that is mismatched with what their prospects value, so they can't price like they'd like. Oftentimes, they lead with tactics. Prospects sometimes nod politely. I'm summarizing this. What a prospect wants is outcomes, things like more customers or more growth, things that are meaningful for the business. Lead with outcomes instead and get paid dollars. I responded to that with the statement that, I'm a fan of positioning towards outcomes, but it should be noted that it also means you have to up your game. Also, higher prices don't always mean higher profits. His response was, "Thanks for the comment, Doug." And then he was very kind. "You are masterful at this stuff. How do you recommend salespeople up their game?" I promised I'd do a video on that. Here we are. Alrighty, let's get into it. First off, the way I look at the world, there's kind of three levels of positioning from the perspective of services or outcomes. There's the product or services level. So if you're selling services, it's services. If you're selling a product, it's product. There's the solutions level. That's something I actually think David didn't address in his LinkedIn post. And then there's outcomes. Product services, that's pretty traditional, pretty feature benefit oriented. Solutions, that's actually where I think the trap is. I see a lot of people both on the products and services side trying to elevate their positioning by talking about being services. I'm sorry, by talking as a solution, but what they end up doing is they promise outcomes. And that's where a lot of danger comes in. And I would say that is really the fundamental problem facing salespeople and companies, is being at one level and promising a different level. A solution is kind of a product or service with more of a point of view brought to it, more of a perspective. You might say that it's a distinct product or service. It's a distinct service. The thing about a solution is about the thing. So, David works with a company that provides one of the best solutions out there, HubSpot. You see some people, they'll tell you that HubSpot has fundamentally changed their business. You'll see other people, they'll say, I used it, but it didn't really do anything for me. What's interesting is HubSpot's exactly the same for both of those groups, right? The solution wasn't different. The thing about the solution is, if you're selling a solution, the outcome, the result, is incumbent upon the user or the buyer. So kind of a service is the way that it gets used is incumbent on the buyer. A solution brings it up that makes it more to where and how it's being used. And then the ultimate is an outcome. Now, there are lots of variations of outcomes. The outcome doesn't have to be the end result. It could be higher quality, qualified sales conversations, or even, an outcome is more marketing qualified leads. Now, one of the things that makes an outcome is there is an objective definition to what it is, and there's an objective description of why it's important, or in essence, what it's worth. So if your outcome is oriented to lead generations, we're going to generate the outcome of more qualified leads. You need to identify specifically what is a qualified lead and what is a qualified lead worth. The problem comes at the end where you generate leads. You as the provider say, hey, they were really qualified. The user says, no, not so much. And there was really no agreement to what the underlying value was. So the first thing is, you've got to be as you move to outcomes, what do you have to do to up your game? You have to be very clear on what the expectation is and what's important about it. But here again, I want to be clear. There are three levels. There are highly profitable companies that sell products or services. There are highly profitable companies that sell solutions. There are highly profitable companies that sell outcomes. I would advise you actually to take the level, to shoot for the lowest level that enables you to meet what your objectives are, right? So if you can build a highly profitable business selling products or services, I say do it, because it's much less complicated. You have to raise your game. The demand of delivering on that is lower. Now, the danger is it's a lot easier to be commoditized. So why do you move from a product or service to a solution? You move as part of a differentiation or distinction strategy. So one thing is, move when you have to, and if you're going to make the move, make the move. Too often we start to position ourselves as a solution, but we don't really decommoditize ourselves. And again, same things with the outcomes. The point is, pick the right level and understand there's kind of a continuum. Products or services, that's going to be your traditional feature benefit approach. Outcomes, that is totally customer centric, that is diagnostic, that is the sales process is creating value. So David, you say, what does the salesperson have to do to up their game? The first thing I want to say to that is, well, if you want to sell outcomes, it's going to take much more than just the salesperson to successfully position yourself towards outcomes. Because if the website is services or product or even solutions focused, and I, the salesperson, do all the right things to sell outcomes, I'm still going to be anchored down by that positioning. If the client experience doesn't support outcomes, I'm setting up false expectations, and that creates a problem as well. So upping the game is an organizational pursuit, not just a salesperson pursuit. But I'm not going to let myself off that easy. I want to give the answer to what does the salesperson have to do to move to an outcomes-oriented approach. And here's what they have to do. You have to be an expert in your customer's world. You have to be an expert in the business processes that generate the results or the outcomes that you're looking for. You see, you win products or services sales at the end. A great demo, a great explanation, the power feature, the new improvement, the resident genius in-house that has all the answers, the person that's got the phenomenal track record and they're going to lead you. It's a very feature benefit world because it is focused on the thing, if you will. Outcomes are all about the customer, and that means you don't win at the end. You win at the beginning. As a matter of fact, if you want to win an outcomes-focused sale and be valued for that outcome. So in other words, you get the price to justify the higher pull that's needed to meet an outcomes expectation. You do that in the first third to first half of the sales process where you identify the gap, right? You can't just promise outcomes. You have to work with your customer, work with your prospect, and teach them, not by telling them, right? You've got to facilitate their discovery to identify and understand the gap. And there's 3 decisions that you have to become a master at helping to define. The first decision is you have to work with your customer to get them to understand that there is a problem, right? Now, a lot of times they come with that. As a matter of fact, people buy products and services because there's a problem, so I need a new product or service. So that one's not that hard. The second part is you've got to facilitate the decision that the status quo is no longer viable, that change has to happen. I often talk about it as, you have to get somebody to discover why they need to change now, and why they need to change with you, right? If you don't make the why change and the why change now, then you're not going to get that juice, if you will. You're going to get held back and you're going to get anchored down in that product services conversation. You're going to get pulled down into a conversation all about tactics. And the whole commoditization component is going to happen. So you can do 80% of it right, but if you didn't get that setup in the beginning, you get pulled down into that tactics focus. Here's the third one, and this is the one that people miss most frequently. This is the biggest. What is the problem? Because you see, most people don't identify their problem correctly, right? If it was as easy as understanding, hey, I have a problem and now I'm going to do something to fix it, well, business would be a lot easier than it is. Most people misdiagnose their problem. You have to be able, and this is where the outcome sale is won. When you help them understand what the problem really is, in many ways, what they thought the problem was a symptom. What's the underlying cause? What's the root cause? What's the real barrier to the outcome? And then the second piece of that is monetizing that gap. Here's what wins the outcome sale. Not the value of what you do so much as the cost of not doing what you do. You win the outcome sale by helping people monetize their problem. What's the cost of their problem? Now, David, I know you know the 3-sale mindset because you talk about it. And if this sounds a lot like sale 1, that's because it is. The outcome sale is won in the sale 1 of the 3-sale mindset. Sale 1 is the sell about the problem. Sale 2, that's the sale about the solution. Sale 3, that's about the vendor. If you think about it, the outcome is won in sale 1. Outcomes are sale 1 focused. Solutions are sale 2 focused, i.e. the problem is clearly understood by people. It doesn't need to be explained, so you are the best solution. Product or service sale, that's a sale 3 sale. The problem is understood. The solution is well understood. We're now looking for the right features, the right attributes, the right specs. So choose the level that you want to play. Build the systems and skills to support that. Make sure you're aligned with the whole company. That's where you'll get higher dollars, higher profits, and less effort. That's this Ask Me Anything for the Sales Genius Network. Until next time, go out and be a